What's up, guys? Steven here today, and today I wanted to talk to you about some more swaggy ass shit, and it's on the topic of essentially how to take the foundational steps towards pure self mastery, or not to get corny, but reach fucking ultra instinct if you watch Dragon Ball fucking Z or Dragon Ball Super. So, for this to essentially make sense, I have to set some, um, as I always put it, for the sake of logical or for the sake of fruitful conversation, I must define the base case upon which the logical framework of the conversation will revolve around. In this particular case, I must define the words um, meditation, um, prayer, and then manifesting or creating, if you will. So, to start off, I was actually kind of talking about this, so it's kind of fresh on my mind. But I will personally, and based on all my experiences, state that meditation and prayer are two individual spiritual activities in the sense that they are unique things. And so, what that means is each of these activities must be given their due and proper respect individually. A lot of times we have this tendency to essentially blend them together. Oh, I'm meditating and I'm essentially wishing or wanting good to befall upon a loved one or um, um, closed a close friend or etc. Right, and so that is what I'll consider prayer. Or I am prostrating and I am repeating affirmations, incantations in the manner that had been prescribed by me by the ones whom are in charge of my spiritual growth. And so that is the right way to pray. Or I have followed all the, if you want, requirements or prerequisites for a particular rite, if you will, or a ritual. I literally woke up at 7. I literally um, followed my routine religiously, my GTL, right? I did that to the fucking T, didn't miss a day. Or I abstain from a food, or I partake of a particular activity, etc., or drank with my comrades in good health or in good spirits, etc., blah blah blah. I follow the prescribed blah blah blah, insert whatever you will. And so that means that I am worthy of X, Y, and Z, right? These are essentially three of the most common things that people say to essentially explain what their intent of prayer is. But it's funny because in all that, they have still not answered the point and straight question: how would you define prayer, right? Me, I literally swaggily put it this way: prayer is like if you are stilling yourself. And so by doing that, you actually come in touch with this inner, you can say, I use the word button because it's like the multi-dimensional idea that is most palpable, right? Like it's this thing that you press, but it's more like this fucking well, right, of pure energy that essentially allows you to warp reality, if you will, for lack of better words. But essentially, what happens is when you're praying, you're essentially first attempting to seek that well, right? So centering yourself, or if you want, pinging for my fucking nerd bros. Once you got a ping back, then you know its location, and so now you have like a automatic fucking gateway, if you will, between you and it opens up, and so now you are connected. Once you're connected, now you can the energy between you and it connects, and so now there's this energetic link. And so what that means is, say that, let's say hypothetically, it's in this well is found in your dantian, close to your pubes, a little above your sexual organs. And so once you connect with that place, etherically, you can actually literally feel the energy that it holds. As you're doing that, you're literally able to, for lack of better words, pull it up, forth, and outwards side of you, to where now you can literally focus it into a physical form that is resembling of a fucking ball. Lack of better words, think of a fucking chi ball, right? And so by focusing into that form, it's almost as if you were pulling it outside of you, and so now it comes and you focus it, and it comes and rests in your hand, asking you, okay, pray tell, what would you like to do with this? Right? Kind of like, what cause would you like to make a donation to? Right? So that's essentially what prayer is. And so what that does now, okay, I wish, I would like, blah, 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 right? That is, for me, the bare bones, raw description of what prayer entails. Focusing that life force towards the, um, you can say fulfillment. And I mean the word fulfillment in the sense that it is this wishful desire that whatever it is that you would like to occur unfolds in a way that is organically and divinely pleasurable. Meaning it's almost like you're wanting to work in tandem with the forces that be in order for this thing to occur, right? And so that's why you're always, if it be thy will, right, as people say, in humility, right, etc., etc. And so also in that, this is why it also cultivates those virtues of patience, of um, wisdom in a sense, because you almost, it's like become you gain experience and understanding in the realization of time, of life IQ, that things must occur in a particular way for whatever it is that you would like, especially if you would like it to also be good for all those around you, right? So it's this cool thing that occurs of like just wanting, but at the same time, wanting others to want too, so that their wanting adds to yours and it becomes more than you. That's fucking awesome. All right, so that's kind of how I would define prayer, right? So that's one thing. Now, meditation is my shit because I feel like while prayer is something that I feel like not many people would be able to objectively do based on maybe their brain should happen. I mean, let's be real, fucking trauma um, in all shapes and forms. Like just kind of that post I mentioned about us all being wounded birds in some way. Pain essentially mutates us, and some people literally get destroyed by it to the point that their very nature and essence gets warped or touched, right? Going back to the whole losing their inner child or killing their little boy, the inner child within. And so because of that, it's like parts of themselves are literally fragmented, right? Literally like creating a cache file, right? It's like a whole file, Horcrux if you like, whole thing, and then this pain just hits you, and instead of you just kind of like ghosting, you kind of want to refer to that Cultivating Your Life Force video, right? Ghosting a butt, letting it go through you or whatever, it just hits you or whatever. You're just not able to let it just go by you, let it go, and it literally just bogs you down, and you just become so tainted by that heaviness, right? That attachment, as Robina Courtney would say. And so, because of that, literally parts of yourself are closed off to you because you are unwilling to allow yourself to be at ease with who you are, right? It's like pain literally almost just makes you coil up and you're just tense all the time, as opposed to just being like fucking water, just chilling, swag surfing. Wow. Like, this is so much harder than this, right? So it's kind of like because of that, you're literally unable to even look at yourself, unable to even communicate with yourself, right? Especially those parts that you need to in order to reach that well. So that's why I feel like it would be hard for some people to do prayer, right? But meditation, and for me, before I lose myself, I will define it as simply as I define this. This is a dot. I want you to stare at this dot. Meditation is simply and objectively the act of staring at this fucking dot, no matter what happens. For 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, 25, 30, 45, an hour. Like, just, it's like nothing else matters but the fucking mission or goal or the action requiring concerted willpower that is staring at the fucking dot. And in that simple act, you realize self. You come to a deeper knowing of self. And it's so fucking funny because something as simple as that could teach you so much. It's like in that you go through literally the whole fucking spectrum of human nature. You go through the fucking moment of your thoughts being like, man, this is getting boring. Or you go through the fucking experience of your phone ring or sounds wanting to pull your gaze that way. Or your phone ring and you thinking about that girl you fucking sent a dick pic to, right? Or you're thinking about even just a potential client getting back to you. You're thinking about maybe even it's a boss calling you, right? Telling you, maybe calling you in for overtime. A myriad of different excuses and thoughts and things come up, but literally in that moment, they are in and of themselves. By definition of that which is that you're doing, a distraction, right? Go back to um, the nature of reality video. I talk about how there is objective reality, there is an object, and subjective reality. Your definition of the object and how your definition thereby defines the relationships, multi-dimensional interactions, and essentially possibilities and options that you allow yourself to have or be presented with by the very thing that you define the object as. Meaning, okay, this is a fist. So mine knows this is fist. So I know interactions would involve this or this or this or this, but interaction would not involve eating it or, like wetting, like things that are just illogical to do with your hand or your fist, right? Same thing with fucking this, right? Mine calls it phone, right? And so I know interactions involves this or this, or this, but it doesn't involve this, etc. And so literally you are shaping reality in that way. And why I stress to actually conscientiously think about the labels and the things that you call odd things, right, or objects. But to go back in this moment, literally, mine is saying this, staring at this is all that matters. And so everything else is defined as distraction in and of themselves and fucking automatically. And so by that now, literally, the only mission is just staring at that and straying from it, like looking away, even if it's like one fucking pixel away or just for a glance, is failing, right? And literally, it becomes a game, but it becomes the realest fucking thing ever. Because can you tell yourself that you actually have 100% mastery of yourself? Can you tell yourself that if you tell yourself you're going to do something, you will do it? Yes? Okay, then prove it to yourself. No? Then there's work to be done, right? And so in that simple thing, you grow exponentially, like quantums, willpower, fucking understanding just your common rationalizations or the common excuses that you're going to come up with in maybe different contexts, but still holding a particular flavor, right? To get yourself to quit, to get yourself to, this is not really that big of a deal. It's not important, but you know it is because you know you'd be saying that you don't have mastery over yourself. And it sounds so lame in the fact that it's so simple, but it's that fucking swaggy, right? So those two things, right, are so fucking unique. Like, even as I was describing it, you could just feel spiritually. I said the words spiritual rhythms that you were oscillating at as you were going through the experience of simulating yourself um, partaking in the different activities. And so, because of that, I feel like they should be practiced separately, individually, until you can clearly and perfectly, to the point of like, even if you were blind, point out one from the other and do one or the other perfectly. When only and only then, once that has occurred, can you then start being like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do something unique with it. I can like blend it in my own way, right? Mix prayer and meditation in my own way, right? With the whims and musings of my particular religion, denomination, beliefs, etc. All right, but I feel like beginning, if you can actually adhere and respect the fact that you should just keep it no simpler and no more complicated than how I just mentioned, you will just progress so much further because that is the foundation, right? And he who does not skip on the foundation will always fucking progress in quantums. So, anyways, those are the two things. Now, the third thing was something that I completely forgot. Kind of funny now. But as I step back and kind of go through my thoughts tracing, I realized that I never mentioned a third thing, right? Because I kind of realized that in speaking about these things, I would hope that you would kind of understand that once you understand how important and the different parts of your spiritual bodies that these activities are cultivating, it would almost lead to a natural synergy of them too, which would lead to this third thing. And that's, now I remember, it was manifesting, right, or creating. How I would define creating, which is kind of funny because you would think that, well, it sounds a lot like prayer, right? But to kind of pace back, meditation is staring at the fucking well, right? There is an external well that you specifically point and target out and isolate, and you fix your entire, every fucking iota of your being, life force, energy, vitality, attention on that thing. Now, prayer is the inner well. There's a well within, and you focus every iota of your energy to come in contact with it spiritually or etherically so that you may access it or channel it spiritually in a way that it can be used to change the physical, right? So there's a well inside. You're trying to do this. That's prayer. Meditation, there's a well out there. You're doing this. That's meditation. And then I call manifesting, it's almost like the symbiosis of this, but then taking it to the nth degree. The reason why is because of this definition. I would define manifesting as the conscientious desire or compulsion of the soul. Because you have to realize, the conscientious compulsion of the soul to game change that which is into that which has not yet been. And it sounds really weird that like I just almost keep it open-ended and it sounds real fucking cryptic, but I don't know why, but I just feel like that is literally the perfect way of putting it. And the reason why is because I feel like every time you're trying to create or manifest, it's not even you necessarily wanting something, right? Like, for example, I think about when I first started my journey with, like, dating and wanting to fuck girls, or just my journey with health, right? It wasn't even that, like, I necessarily, like, needed those things. Like, if you told me that, hey, I would never reach my goals, I would never be able to fuck a girl, lose my virginity, or achieve any of the success I have achieved and am still striving to achieve, and I would never achieve the success physically that I have achieved, where it's like getting a six pack, rib, all that shit. If you told me that, I would be 100% okay. Meaning, like, if I died then and there, it would literally be okay with me. I would feel no different. And my point is that it's so fucking subtle, but it's like this super lightness to this desire, this craving to achieve is what sets it apart from all the activities I just mentioned. Because it's not just about the fucking. People use the word paradox, but I don't even think they know what they're talking about. I feel it's like it's not even about the fact that it's like opposing, like you want it, but sometimes you don't. I feel like the fact that it's not even you wanting anything necessarily particular, but just the one thing causing you to be pulled in a particular yet particularly focused direction that literally 100% of the fact makes you better, moves you in a better place, etc., etc. Like causes you to be better, live better, do better. That is what makes it a game changer. And that is what sets it apart from the other two activities. And that is why most of the time, or 100% of the time, the reason why people don't achieve or don't, I hate the word manifest using that because it really is it makes it sound like it's almost magical, even though the way I describe it does make it sound magical. But if you saw it in reality, kind of like going to a pond, planting a plant, and filming it for 365 days. Going to a pond at the exact same time every day, shooting, filming it for the exact same duration, right? For 365 days, and just at the end, seeing the montage of that, you would realize the complicatingly, beautifully simple manifestation of what creating or manifesting actually looks like, right? It's like seeing the realization of something that should just naturally be. Kind of like, I guess, maybe watching a kid grow. I don't know, right? But it's like the reason why most people don't get those things that they want, don't create the life that they want, or they're unable to see the realization of that wish that they want to occur is because for one reason or the other they haven't under they haven't internalized, because you can logically understand something and you can even understand it, like it does land, right? Like it hits the heart, right? Like they say, it hits you right here, something, right? And it maybe moves you, maybe even changes you. But it's like when you internalize something, it's almost like, think of you being like fucking jello, right? And then all of a sudden, um, there's this like magic thing where if it comes in contact with the jello that is you, it literally changes you. Not just like one characteristic like color, but it literally even changes your state, right? Instead of you, maybe you're like less jelly, and maybe you were a bit more, you're a bit harder jelly before. Now you're like more malleable, right? And you even like have like a lighter tint to you, etc. Or maybe you were the opposite, like you were too malleable, and now you're more of like this condensed and focused jelly, and you have more of like a sheen to you, right? It's like it just profoundly impacts forever the root energetic nature of who you are, the root energetic essence that is who you are. I don't want to use the word DNA because it's almost just like it's focused too much on physical and not on like the fucking super higher levels that are actually occurring that are having more of an impact on the physical than we actually realize, right? Like for example, think about just some of like the most tragic events that's happened this year, right? The shooting of Trayvon Martin, right? Or um, the fucking shooter at Las Vegas, right? Or um, or some really crazy shit that's happened. Um, there's just been so many things. Like I'm kind of weird because like every time something negative happens, I'm like, oh fuck. But then I just try to like say, oh well, I'm still alive, you know. So I'm like crazy, weird, optimistic that way. So I don't dwell too much. So in my mind, it's even hard to like think about bad things that's happened, right? But there's you. If I give you some time, you could just remember, like, oh my god, remember this earlier this year, all the fucked up shit, right? Like, um, the fucking fights, like political rallies, you know, like or fuck, like the fucking attacks with the bombing. Remember that, like that period of week or 2 weeks when there was like a crazy bomber running around and people didn't like. It's so crazy. Like it literally almost feels like a blur, but that shit happened, right? And I feel like those are just like the what do you call mainstream consciousness bad shit. Like now think about like the fucked up shit that's happening to you individually, right? But now I'm trying to say like every single one of those moments, if you look carefully, it's kind of like for my like producer friends, like key frames for this fucking nation, right? When that shooter happened in Vegas, all of a sudden now, like there was like look like a strong fucking desire to actually think about how we use guns, right? When fucking those political rallies happened, like those fights, all of a sudden there was like this massive recognition of like our racism and how like it's still prevalent to the point of just erupting in such a fucking outlandishly like not just public but like um overtly just it's like almost lackadaisical for lack of that. It's like in a way that's like it's normal, right? Like people were literally just outwardly just being so fucking racist, right? With like TK straight up just trying to bring back that old KKK shit, right? Fucking whole mob, right? Think about that, like how it literally made people just like, fuck, dude, like, damn, like that is us, right? Or even the death of Trayvon Martin, how like it literally just sparked this whole like, oh my fucking god, that is me. Like I've been that person who sees a black person coming and immediately would like look go move towards like crap holding their purse tighter or even if like maybe they had like a fucking knife or some sort of like tool or some sort of object they could use as like self defense, immediately just goes towards like cusping it ready, right? Like people just like that conscious recognition of self, like seeing like holy shit, that is and could have maybe even was me, like that person that literally just shot some kid because he didn't look like me, right? Or even just like something as like small as just the fucking um when the attacks on like the ex presidents, right? People are like, oh, like damn, like to the point where yeah, like I mean, okay, yeah, I have strong political ideas, but to that point where it manifests in the way that like I am unable to allow you to live because you have an opposite viewpoint, because you made an opposing um, decision upon voting, right? Like all these moments, just everyone was called back, right? It's like key frames, like just fucking literally changed the fucking game in one way or the other, right? And my point is, and I hate to sound Debbie Downer or just make everything so heavy, like I'm talking about all this fucking shit, but my point was to just draw on just the sheer and raw impact. I don't want to use weight because that's even too light, but the sheer force or sheer gravity of the energy of a game changing moment, right? And I wanted to tie that back to when it's something that is conscientiously wanted, right? Because just me speaking those words, right? Like fucking impact, force, gravity, the energetic gravity. Like, it's like there is so much of sheer energetic output that has to just be poured out for those things to occur, right? It's like you don't just start running, right? You have to actually literally pick up your feet and move. And so when you think about that, think about the things that must occur for something as magnanimous as wanting to literally make something happen out of thin air, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it. And for those, it's not even so much that there's a lot of work, but for you to imagine there's like this bucket, right? Or there's this like threshold level where, okay, you need this much energy for whatever, for this thing to occur, right? But this threshold, or you could say goal, whatever, for you to achieve that, you have to put in a lot. Like, for example, actually, remember I was talking about this is the key to Ultra Instinct, right? Like, if you saw fucking the fight between Goku and the fucking guy, I forgot his name. Goku versus Jiren, right? Like, all the fucking times he was just getting wrecked, like, over and over, and how Jin was just fucking the whole squad up. One-handed, practically. He just look at niggas and they just fall over, right? All those times, over and over and over. And then he just go back to fucking meditate, right? Like, all those times, he was literally just getting wrecked. It's like -1 hit, or you know how you're like Pokemon, you're playing Pokemon, and your Pokemon literally has like 1 hit point, but the last attack was super effective. So luckily, you fucking don't die. You know, or playing in those retro games like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and you're fucking your dude beating the other guy, or the other guy is wrecking your shit, but then you just luckily magically hit the right combination of keys or buttons, and it unleashed like the hyper version of like a special attack, and that fucking wrecked him. Right, but you're literally like this much left health bar. That was literally him, like pretty much the whole fight, and then at the end, just like out of just like this, literally just giving up on giving a fuck because he was so not wanting to fuck it up. Like he was giving his like 300%. That it's almost like it's like this cocoon of pure energy just formed, and then he just transformed into something else. Right? Like concretely, that's the same thing that occurs when someone creates or manifests. But what I'm trying to draw at is, on some level, if you look back, he literally would have been okay if his planet or his world, right, universe was erased. If he had lost and then he were erased, he was literally just ready to accept it too. And it's like, the word debonair is kind of what comes to mind to describe it, but it's not so much confidence. It's almost like you realize that life is beautiful, but life is beautiful. And the latter part is said with an undertone that it's like you know that you're gonna die, right? You know everything ends at the end, and so it's like this supra um, instinctual desire, understanding that attachment is like the shittiest thing you could ever do to yourself. Like just being caught up in whatever thing, right? Like just being so consumed, stuck, or clean on wanting something to occur so badly is just almost like a disrespect to life itself, that it literally keeps you in check, while at the same time unable to let you take your foot off the fucking gas or even a second, right? And it's like those forces are literally putting you in like the perfect frequency where you're literally doing everything that is supposed to be done, and at the same time you're not giving a fuck and you're letting the chips fall where they may, right? This is so hard for me to describe, and I feel like even I'm trying so hard to like stretch my words and try to like paint like really really big like multi-dimensional picture. I feel like I'm still failing at it, right? But my point is that spirit or that state, like that lighthearted fastedness is, I think, what holds people back, because most of the time we're really good at being fastedness, right? Like really, okay, dude, driven, like, as most people say, but it's like we forget to realize that you're going to die. So, as much as it's important, it's also equally important to realize that doesn't mean shit. That doesn't matter. That like, if you look at like on like the grand cosmic of it all, like in the big picture, it really doesn't matter. Like, you're just this one fucking thing, this literal, not even a speck of sand, right? That's so small, it doesn't matter. But literally at the same time, because just by the fact that you're there, it matters more than anything else, right? And I think that's where um, the truly great people, like truly successful people, it's almost like they shine in that. Like, it's like this. Every single one of my words, it, it's like it like oozes off of them. I don't know how to describe this thing. I don't want to use the word aura because I feel like it's kind of one of those words that's like been beaten to death. But it's like, let's fucking call it swag juice. This fucking swag juice is just dripping off of them. This fucking sauce. It just drips off. Like, you can just fucking feel it from like miles away. And um it's what allows them to just make the impossible happen, right? And I think to get to that point, you have to really have those two pieces like come. You have to like just have those pat down, like you have, because they are your foundation. Because then they allow. It's almost like um, once you master self, you're able to allow the soul to dry, and that's where like divine inspiration comes from. Because there's normal inspiration. You can get inspired just watching a video, right? Like, because I was saying, like, something hits you, you understand it, and it moves you. But to like create a fucking game changer, it's not just fucking something that you just say you're gonna do, because as we all know, like there's only so most of the time, like with all the shit going on in the world, whatever momentum you have with that energy of desire, it doesn't last long, right? So it literally almost takes something otherworldly to almost just compulse you, not even like drive or like it's like this compulsion, like you're just like you can't help but want to do this thing or to write this post or make this video, create that song. Like, it's like something else. It's just fucking pulling you to just be glued to that activity. And it's kind of funny because in that you just get so caught up in like just the beauty of it that it becomes passionate, right? It becomes passionate. You don't start out, you don't even seek to be passionate. Most of the time you're just kind of like, right? But like in that has your, it's like, fuck, this sounds so awesome. Like, this sounds so tight. And it's like, it's not even you. Like, things are just like flowing out of you from somewhere else. And you're just like, fuck, dude, this is awesome. It's almost like you realize your purpose for being alive. Like when you're exercising your gift, right? As they say, putting your gift out into the world for a good cause, for the benefit of all. Like, you just feel so much more than beyond happy. It's so much more than beyond fulfilled, even. Like, you're just like pure. It's pure more gratefulness. I don't even know. But it's like that thing, and you're just, I don't even know. I feel like I'm rambling now, guys. I'm sorry, but that's just me trying to describe shit. Pardon my emotions. But yeah, like that's kind of just what fucking causes you to just stick on something for a real long time. built something really big that's like really fucking amazing. And I think it's only the soul that can cause such reality impacting things to occur, right? Like just think, um, something as like Michelangelo's, some of his works, right? For example, the fucking Vitruvian Man, right? Like, can you think, what the fuck? Just get up and for like a real long time draw this weird fucking position of the human body at a time, especially at a time when like that type of shit is like equated to fucking watching taboo ass fucking porn today, bro. It's like equated to like pedo porn today. Like that's what it was at that time. But to just fucking do it because I don't know, he just felt like this is what had to come out of him at that moment, at that time space, and then just the final product. Like every time I see that, I'm like, I feel like I learn something new every time. I don't know how else to put it, and it's like some Illuminati shit. I don't even know, like some fucking crazy. Just look at it, you'll see what I mean. But I just feel like you learn something every single time, and I think that's like the hallmark of true game changing work. It's alive. Like you could read it 50 million times and it's almost like it would speak to you freshly every single one of those times in one way or the other. I don't know, I think I'm gonna stop because I feel like I'm gonna, if I don't stop, I'm just gonna keep talking about yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's kind of what holds a lot of people back. They just they get to a point where they're unwilling to just let the soul drive. Maybe they're scared by where it takes them, or what comes out of them, or even just the things that they see themselves being capable of. I don't know. There's a million different other reasons, right? Amongst even just the simple of just like their foundation is not firm, right? And so a lot of times, just really fucking talented, dope ass fucking people that should have really changed this world ending up not. And we all end up losing out. So if you're out there, if you're watching this video, we believe in you. Don't give up. Don't give up. You never know what could happen. The world is a big place. And it's magical. I'll do it. Anyways, that was kind of fucking mouthful. Hope you guys got something out of this. And as always, swag fuck out.